Melissa, what impact will the president's speech last night have on today and through, let's say, through the midterms? What impact will it have?
Very little, if any, whatsoever. I think it was a classic Rorschach test. I think, Republicans who are already with him think it was a great speech. You look at the New York Post this morning, then you turn on MS Now, and they said it was full of lies and a total waste of time. And, was, if anything, combative and non-unifying. And so I don't think it really moved the needle one way or another. I think that there were a few missed opportunities, particularly on Iran. And I think that he did, successfully land a couple of punches, specifically in that one moment where he said, if you agree with me, stand, Americans should come above illegal aliens.
Okay, but let me stop you on that one. What will the impact of that moment be? Most
If
people are
somebody
thinking, yeah,
successfully cuts that and puts it into an ad in a district where
yeah.
something like that, where that matters and where you're successfully able to make the case.
All right, Congressman, I read in the news pages that Republican members from vulnerable Republican members from swing districts are upset that the president didn't talk enough about specific policies that they can take to their constituents. Since you are always Exhibit A of vulnerable Republican member from a swing district, did the president give you enough to run on?
Look, I think the president, number one, highlighted obviously the successes of his first year economically, as well as obviously from the standpoint of border policy and foreign policy. I think number two, he did lay out some key specifics. I literally just came from a meeting at the Treasury Department with Secretary Bessent on housing just this morning. So he did lay out specifics on housing, on energy, on healthcare, prescription drugs is a major issue. Banning institutional investors from owning single family homes, requiring AI companies and tech companies to actually build the power plants that are required for these data centers, et cetera. There were some key specific policies that I think actually can get, frankly, bipartisan support. I mean, you saw Elizabeth Warren, of all people, standing up and applauding the president on the institutional investor issue and the banning of congressional stock trading. So there were some key policy specifics. I think the president, better than almost any president before him, knows how to use the stage to present to the American people, great American stories. And I think you saw it last night. Two Medal of Honor recipients, the U.S. men's Olympic hockey gold medal winning team. You saw it with, a Venezuelan political prisoner being reunited with his niece. You saw it with the mother of a Ukrainian immigrant who was killed brutally last year in Charlotte being recognized. So I think the president understands the moment. I frankly think it was one of his best speeches as far as delivery and framing the issues. Now, Democrats, of course, will be angry and upset about, things he said and the fact that he called them out numerous times for not standing and applauding, as we saw last year and again this year. But I think that one moment where he said, stand if you believe that the American people should be put before illegal immigrants. And Democrats, not one single Democrat stood,
Yeah.
I think is going to be a defining moment, and it's going to be a defining moment in this midterm election.
I want to follow up with you on a bunch of legislative stuff, but first I want to ask Melissa again about that moment. Melissa, if Democrats in that chamber, regardless of if they're a senator or a House member, regardless of how blue their district is, my view is that position that the president asked them to support in the bluest district in America would be 70-30 or at a minimum 60-40 popular. Do you agree with that?
100%. I think that they
Yeah.
made a mistake.
Yeah. Okay. So you think if they had to do it over again, that Jeffries and Schumer, if they knew the president was going to do this very clever stunt, do you think that they would say, "Well, let's stand for that"? Or you think
Well,
that
look,
the left would punish them for saying we favor American citizens over people here illegally?
no, listen, and I think that if anything, Democrats are winning right now, not because we have some great strategy and are laying out some great alternative policy vision. It's because Trump is losing and because the country feels chaotic and because people are still struggling far too much at the kitchen table to pay the mortgage, et cetera, et cetera. And so my advice to them would have been do no harm. So in those moments where it's like,
Yeah,
why
but
give them
how about
that?
on this specific one? Should they all
You
stood
know,
up and
that's what I'm
applauded?
saying.
They
Why
all
give
should have stood
them
up and
that?
applauded.
They should have just stood.
Would the base of the party been upset if they stood up and applauded?
Who cares? Because
Okay.
the base of the party in the far left areas of this country, like New York City or like in Brooklyn, for example, they're just fighting in a primary. There is no general election.
Yeah.
So who cares?
Right.
So
Okay.
it's like protect
But
yourself
Well,
and look at what's coming in November.
I
maybe to
will tell
raise
you,
money. Go ahead, Congressman.
I will tell you, Melissa, I mean, talking to so many of my Democratic colleagues, they are petrified of their base right now.
Oh,
And
I know.
they cannot agree to anything Donald Trump says for
Yeah.
fear of being called a traitor. I mean, you had
Yeah.
people who voted for the funding and then voted against it from New York, who, with respect to Homeland Security, and it's just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, President Trump learned from last year. I mean, go back to last year's joint session address when Democrats refused to stand for a 7-year-old boy with cancer, when he was made a Secret Service agent. And the blowback they got from the American people and even the press were like, that just
Yeah.
doesn't look right. And he used that opportunity to call them out yesterday, last night, and on that one issue. Because, Melissa, you're right. I mean, on the issue of immigration enforcement, in particular, what happened in Minneapolis, which was tragic with those 2 deaths, if that's the focal point, the president's losing the message.
Yeah.
If the focal point is on illegal immigration and criminal aliens, the president wins the message. And he sought to reset the argument last night, and Democrats walked right into it
Yeah.
because they just cannot get past their hatred of him.
This
Well,
might be
and
stating. Go ahead, Melissa.
no, I just wanted to say just to punctuate that point, Congressman, and we've been talking about this for the last few weeks. I've been waiting to see how the shutdown was going to play out because there was a moment where the Democrats had the upper hand rightly. There was a lot of anger and a lot of righteous anger at what was going on in Minneapolis. But Tom Homan came in, he took the temperature down, they pulled out, they unilaterally did the body cams. So they did it on their own and they said, we agree with you on this thing. And now you're not seeing it in the news as much. So if you go back to the border issue and making it about crimes that are being committed by people who are here illegally and TSA all of a sudden shuts down or you can't use global entry, all of a sudden the Democrats are on defense and you blew the moment.
Yeah.
So
And
Let me just.
Mark, let me just say,
Yeah.
Melissa hit the nail on the head. The moment, in many respects, has passed. The president,
it could come back if there's another
if there's an escalation. But Tom Homan is very skilled, very capable, and he really brought the temperature down very quickly. And I said when the president said he was sending him that was the right decision and that Tom Homan would handle this appropriately, and he has. And so the issue really then becomes, okay, Homeland Security funding impacts TSA, FEMA. I mean, you had 4 Democrats from Rhode Island sending a letter saying, please, please, we need help with FEMA because of the storm. They all voted to shut FEMA down.
Right.
So
All right,
it's like the president is going to end up winning this argument because when TSA, FEMA, the Coast Guard, Secret Service are all impacted as a result of this shutdown, and ICE and Border Patrol are still operating because we funded them through the Working Families Tax Cut Plan, this is going to collapse on the Democrats pretty quickly.
I don't think the speech is going to cause the president's poll numbers to go up. But here's why what he did was so brilliant. First of all, theatrically, typically what presidents do now, because of the applause thing, is they just say something. And then when the other side doesn't stand, they say, why didn't you stand? The president teed it up. I can't remember a president ever doing this, saying, I'm going to say something. We're going to watch to see who stands. Then he said something that's probably 95-5 from a polling point of view. Then when the Democrats don't stand, he milked it. He paused. He let the Republicans cheer. And this is an issue that not just is 95-5 for the country, but obviously Mike Lawler likes it. Brian Fitzpatrick likes it, but so do the Republicans in the reddest districts in America. And that's what the whole speech was about. My colleagues say these are all MAGA issues. No, MAGA loves these issues, but they are issues that test 60-40, 70-30, 80-20, or in this case, probably 95-5. And I don't know. I don't know if it'll be in ads, but it's on social media, and it reminds the Republicans, and this is, I think, the biggest advantage the president made from last night. It reminds Republican consultants. It reminds the DSC, the NRSC, the
Late night,
NRCC.
Mark.
It reminds them all, hey, this guy's actually pretty good at politics. Hey, this guy got elected not for being extreme, but for capturing the center.
Look, the thing that I took away from last night is, number one, the president was very much on message. He stuck to the script and delivered it well. But moreover, the issues that he hit were issues that got him elected. Yep. They are issues that poll well above 60% nationwide. He hammered home the tax cuts and the fact that the Democrats all voted against every single tax cut. He hammered home the fact that the Democrats' policies is what gave us the inflation, gave us the high cost of living. He hammered home the border policies. He hammered home the issue of illegal immigrants committing crimes against American citizens. And he really zeroed in on some of the populist issues, whether it's prescription drug costs and going after the price controls that are put in place in Europe and elsewhere, institutional investors purchasing up single family homes. And then when you look at energy, the whole focus is on data centers and AI and the fact that it's going to drive up costs. And he's saying they got to pay for it. And you know what? I think the vast majority of Americans and many Democrats would agree with those policies.
We got to move on from we got to move on from State of the Union, but I got to follow up on some legislative stuff with both of you.
And wait, I want to make one more point on the State of the Union, though, on Trump. The one thing that he did that I think is very dangerous, that he should learn, frankly, from Biden, Harris on, and from what the Democrats screwed up in 2022 and 2024, is don't tell people not to believe their lying eyes. So overstating how great the economy is risks a backlash from people who are struggling, and says to them, you live on your veranda on the hill and you're so disconnected from me.
I agree. But if that wasn't the Goldilocks spot, there isn't one.
Listen, I think that what he did do well in this, and it was very Clintonian, what Clinton did in the mid 90s when he was trying to recapture his footing going into 96, is he acknowledged from where he came. He placed the blame where he believed it lied, which is what got him back in the White House in the first place. And he acknowledged there's more to do. But I would just caution against this is the greatest economy of all time, and we're all doing great, because it's not in poll after poll how people feel, and you can get a backlash.
That's as Goldilocks as Trump can get, given that he loves to.
No, but and Melissa is spot on. Like, you can't fall into the trap of saying everything's great, because we had a big hole to dig out of, and things are moving in a better direction, but we're not fully there.
They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America.
And don't forget, you can now listen to the morning meeting and Two-Way Tonight on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.